Hello and welcome to the 185th installment of the Synapse Misfire Podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by our other host, Jordan.
That's me, baby.
Jordan!
What?
You gotta remind the people.
As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have the video portions where you can see our faces, and Instagram, TikTok, you can see us there. We also have our email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send your comments, questions, concerns, and death threats, and little kitty bit city things.
And stuff.
And stuff and things.
Well, Jordan.
Yeah.
I just want to maybe announce we got a little. We're gonna be doing a little Halloween special this year.
Yeah.
I feel like there's been a year where we missed one.
Perhaps.
I think we've done like the last two. We did one.
Yeah, there was the most infamous one where Spider-Hog was introduced. I dressed up as Spider-Man. That was like last year or whatever.
And last year was Pumpkin Spice Roundup.
Oh, it was the one before then. Yeah.
Year before that was Spider Hog.
Damn, so Spider-Hog's
And
turning
then
two.
I think that was the first. I think that was the first one we did.
Yeah.
So
Pumpkin Spice Roundup. I missed that one. That was fun.
the Pumpkin Spice Roundup was fun.
That's a good one. This one will be equally as fun. Do you want to announce what it is, or?
We're gonna be carving some pumpkins.
Yeah,
We're gonna be doing some jack-o'-lanterns.
just carving some pumpkins.
Nothing nefarious. Nothing
heinous.
No.
Couple of
You
boys.
know us.
Wholesome Halloween. That's what we say
How
around
could
here.
we're a wholesome, family-friendly YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yep.
So we're gonna be doing that, and that'll be released probably on the day on Halloween. It definitely won't be after Halloween because that would be stupid.
That would be pretty stupid. But Chris is notorious for being pretty stupid. So.
Yeah, you know how it is.
But yeah, look out for that. October 31st, baby.
That's when Halloween is.
I think.
Yeah. So other than that, Jordan, what have you been up to? What have you been doing?
What have I been up to, Chris? I've been living.
Okay.
I've been playing.
Okay.
And I've been schooling.
Okay.
And only one of those has been enjoyable.
Right.
Yeah. No, I've been going through the grind, man. I'm in a technical writing class right now, and
Jesus.
it's frustrating. It is frustrating.
Technical writing.
Yeah. Did you end up taking that at all for your major or no?
I think I took a business writing class.
It's probably very similar because there's a lot of like memos. And
Yes,
letters,
where we learn how to
invoices.
write like memos and shit like that, which is... I've been in the workforce since I was 16, which was almost like 8 years ago now. Mm-hmm. I've never received a memo.
I've been in the workforce since I was 14 and a half. Never received a memo.
I've received a lot of all hands emails. Mm-hmm. Where they send out all hands important announcement. This is the announcement. I don't get a fucking memo. What year is this?
Do you get a handwritten letter?
A handwritten fucking quill and parchment ass fucking note. Hear ye ass note.
Yeah. So I'm doing this fucking technical writing class. It's whatever, dude. Like, I don't know. It's so frustrating because like the material is just not clear. Like what I'm supposed to be doing. Like it's like write a memo and do this, and then I do it, and I get points deducted, like a massive amount of points deducted for my word choice. Like, motherfucker, when did we learn word choice? Like, I don't understand. Like, I was too wordy, I guess. Apparently, Chris, I have a question for you. If I was writing a memo to you, perhaps,
Okay.
and this memo involved the imminent threat of an infection, and I used the line, if you do not do this, the infection will walk right through our doors. Would you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. I lost points on that because infections can't walk.
So you have to write as literally as possible.
Mm-hmm. And I learned that, so then I wrote my next memo ridiculously literal. Keep in mind, never was told I had to write literal for the entire course of this course. I just had to deduce that because I'm the fucking master deducer because I lost points for saying the infection will walk through the door. And, so now I did my next memo, got a better grade. I was just irrefutably literal about everything.
That bothers me because everyone, to some degree, understands a metaphor. to a certain degree. I feel there are people who don't understand it as well as others.
Of course.
But I feel like everyone's going to know what you mean.
Yeah, I lost additional points for redundancy because I said that the task you needed to do was basically to destroy something to prevent the infection.
Right.
And I said we need to ensure that it is well and truly destroyed. And that was redundant because well and truly implied the same thing.
See, I think the problem here is that a creative writer and a technical writer are two different things.
Yeah.
And much like myself, you were born to be a creative writer and not a technical writer.
Yeah. And so I lost a bunch of points for that. So I stopped doing all that. I got super literal about everything, and I've gotten a better grade since. But the problem is, like, this class is themed around a creative writing format. So it's actually themed around zombie apocalypse. So it's not just like technical writing, you're going to write business memos. It's like you're writing memos in the perspective of a survivor.
Why would you give me a whimsical little scenario and then tell me I can't be creative?
Yeah.
I like the idea of either a like high fantasy concept or like a sci-fi type concept that is drowning in bureaucracy. I think that's a really funny concept.
Yeah.
Like think of if anyone's played Witcher 3 Blood and Wine, the side quest where Geralt has to withdraw his savings account at a bank, but he's already died, so he has to make a request to say, I am in fact alive, and he has to fill out a bunch of forms and shit.
Yeah.
That concept is really funny to me, so that's a little funny, but also, I don't know, you can't give me a little whimsical scenario and then not let me be creative.
Yeah, so that's been my problem, but it's fine because it took me a little while, but I deduced that clearly the creative aspect of this class wasn't presented this way, but apparently it's the characters and scenarios. It's not the writing itself. So I had to realize that on my own, that like, okay, I can be creative with the scenario, I can be creative with the advice given, but I still have to deliver it in a very monotone, boring business bitch boy sort of way.
Yeah, so. That's kind of stupid. I didn't do very well in technical writing.
That's fair.
Because it was my fault, to be fair. I didn't do a lot of the work.
Also, that memo you sent to the teacher that said "fuck you, fuck you, fuck you" like 150
times.
That
didn't help either. But listen, my actions during, my schooling actions during the pandemic, that's not me anymore.
Fair.
I did a lot of fuck it. I can get away with not doing this.
Fair.
And what I actually did to pass the class was I have a long shot where I was like, well, I have to do a final project, and it's like worth 10% of my grade or whatever. Maybe even more than that, maybe like 15. And I was like, okay, if I don't do well on this project, I'm not passing the class. So what I did naturally was spend 8 hours doing a highly edited video for this course. And all it was a stupid presentation that we had to do and present like a PowerPoint. But I was like, yeah, I could just do something I made custom assets and shit for it. It was and my professor loved it. So
that's good.
I'm here. I have the degree. So.
Working in the field.
Never had to write a memo, though. I don't know why I had to learn that.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm taking a TED writing class that's been whooping my ass, and chemistry. And chemistry's been fun. See, I do better with either A, like you said, creative writing, or B, I do better when I'm participating in a subject that just has answers. Like there's no refuting. Because like at the end of the day, writing is always subjective. It's all about your audience, all about the tone, the atmosphere, whatever, the situation. So there's no right way to write a letter to someone informing them someone died, but there's best practices.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I do with English. I tend to be.
You do well when there's a 100% definite answer or there's no answer whatsoever.
Yeah. But as soon as there's a half answer, I deviate towards the no answer.
I see.
And I seem to flounder. Like when it's like that exact scenario of like, this is the information you need to tell me, but I'm not going to tell you how to tell me. So then I lean into the whimsical side and I tell you this information in a much more engaging way, and I get deducted points because it's too all over the place and too
whimsical.
Yeah, it's too like, hey buddy, there's an infection, and not enough of like, sir, the infection has spread. The end.
Mr. President, we're fucked.
Yeah, basically. But it's okay because now that I figured it out, that's it. You just write monotone like it is what it is. Now I get it.
That would just
so
be
lame.
Cool. We need more whimsy.
Yeah, it would just be cool if that was taught. But I just got beef with the concept of a professor, by the way.
Like professors conceptually as a profession, you have beef with.
A little bit.
Okay.
A little bit.
Why is that?
Because you get these people, right? You get these teachers from K through 12, right? And they're forced to deal face to face with a bunch of children, essentially.
Right.
Up until, maybe 10th grade, it starts to level out a little bit, but it's still children at the end of the day. And they're forced face to face. They can't say certain things to these kids. They can't they can't reprimand them certain ways. They just have to deal with it as it comes. And then you get a professor who's paid substantially more, teaches maybe the same course, a couple variations of it, a couple times a year, to bigger, altogether, single groups of adults, supposed adults. They get to recycle material very frequently.
Yep.
And I say that as someone who has watched a video last semester from CAD from 2012. So yes, they do recycle materials very frequently. And at the end of the day, if they don't like you, Chris, they don't have to go, Chris, I need to speak to your father. They just go, okay, bad grade. Done. And you really can't do anything about it. You really can't. You can bring it up, but they can still just deduct you points for things. They don't have to go out of their way to help you. They're just like, yeah, fuck this guy. I don't like this guy.
Yeah, you could always talk to the dean, though.
You could, if it's that bad, but like that's an uphill battle. That
was my thing when I was in college. What I would do, anytime I needed anything administrative done, I would email straight to the dean because I know I wasn't gonna get it done any other way.
Yeah, I thought about doing that with certain things.
So you gotta talk to the dean way more than you think you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
It's like if you're in high school or whatever, how often did you talk to the principal in high school?
Almost never.
I think I talked to him like once.
Yeah.
Very briefly. And then that was it.
Yeah.
Unless you're in the office all the time, you're not really talking to the principal ever.
Yeah.
But the dean, when you're at college, you got to talk to the dean. You got to make the dean your buddy.
Yeah.
Basically. Because the dean will get things done for you.
Yeah.
Professors, I think also what bothers me about professors is that at least in computer science, you make way more money in industry than you do as a professor.
Mm.
Like at my entry-level job, I'm making about what the professors were making at my school. So most of them had other jobs going on. They did like consulting and things. And the guys from industry, they know their shit, but they're not good teachers.
Yeah.
Like all the professors I had, I was like, this guy is a brilliant programmer. Awful teacher. Terrible teacher.
Yeah.
He's gonna talk to you as if you have a baseline level of knowledge that you just don't, because he's used to talking to other industry professionals.
Yeah. So I guess to clarify too, when I say professors as well, I mean that in the mathematics, science, and like English sense and history sense. I don't so much mean it in the industry professional side because I haven't had any classes with industry professionals besides that one CAD class that I know why went so bad. That is what it is. But yeah, I've been just dealing with like professors of English and math and
the professors that I've had like for gen ed stuff like that, the good ones all also taught high school.
Fair.
Because I think if you're a high school teacher, you have to retain your teaching abilities.
Right.
Whereas with a professor, there's not like a lot of standards.
Right.
If you're a high school teacher, you have to conform to like a specific style. You have to conform to specific standards.
Yeah.
But if you're a professor, you don't really have to bother with that. So all the good teachers I had, or all the good professors I had, were also high school teachers, and they were just moonlighting as a professor.
And I don't know if it's the same for professors, so I can't say this with all certainty, but I would bet it's this way. I don't think they're held accountable for any of the marks of their students unless every single person is fucking failing every semester. But like in high school, if your students are doing bad, that is considered a reflection on the teacher.
Even then, they're not really held accountable that much. Professors, I mean.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of, now, again, your mileage may vary. I got fucked by the pandemic. So pre-pandemic schooling and post-pandemic schooling felt very different. So in the post-pandemic era, everyone's motivation was gone. So like every year you would go in with dwindling numbers of people, and having like less and less people there, less and less people sticking with the major, less and less people actually, the people who were there were caring less and less. So I kind of got fucked by that as well. But my original point, I've kind of lost my train of thought here. I don't know if it's different now, is my point, because we're not mid-pandemic or immediately post-pandemic.
Right.
So that's the other thing that kind of fucked me a little bit, and a lot of people were failing because of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But other than that, man, like, yeah, that was it for school. That was my little tirade. I've just been, like, a little frustrated with this semester, but I'm getting there. We're already going into, like, week 7 or some shit like that, so we're getting there. Aside from that, I've been playing, like I said, playing Robocop. I ended up never beating that game, actually. So, started playing it on the Ally. It's fun. It's a good time. You should definitely play Robocop. It's super fun. The only thing is, Unreal Engine 5 games just have this issue on handhelds for some reason, where the lighting just stops, and it's like you're fucking in the core of the sun. Like, I don't know why it happens, but Robocop does it sometimes in certain areas, and what's it called? The Still Waits the Deep also does it, which is bizarre. You just get, like, no shadows and all reflections on every surface. It's the weirdest shit ever. But if you're playing...
It's like looking at a Cybertruck in the sun.
Basically, yeah. It's fucking crazy. So, it's a fun game, though. Robocop, really fun. Like, story is pretty good. Characters are cool. The RPG style of it's good, and the gunplay is pretty satisfying. The boss fights are a little iffy, though. Because, like, they really do be having you fight a big-ass robot for one of the boss fights while you can barely move very quickly. Now, in fairness, there is an ability I didn't have at the time called Dash, where you get a one-time use, like, lunge forward, which would have helped me dodge the barrage of rockets that kept killing me. But I didn't know that was a thing at the time. So, you know.
Well, if you use Dash, it takes an action, and it doubles your movement speed, so you could get out of there pretty quick.
Theoretically, yes, you could get out of there very quickly. But, yeah, I've been playing Robocop. I'm waiting for Silent Hill 2. That comes out this week, Chris. It is apparently extremely highly rated, like
really?
90 on all the stores.
I've been wanting to play something scary. I said after this, I'm going to be playing Iron Lung.
I've wanted to play that game for a while.
Iron Lung's only like an hour and a half long, so I've had it for a while, and I'm like, now's the time, I guess. It's spooky month.
Yeah. No, you should play. You should get Silent Hill 2.
Silent Hill I'll probably get.
Iron Lung, funny enough, they're making a movie.
Yeah, which is interesting because the concept of Iron Lung is ridiculous. Like,
what is like the full scope? I know the front page header sort of scope of just you're stuck in a sub. But.
You're an ex-convict, or you're a current convict, I should say, and it takes place after all the habitable planets and moons in the universe suddenly disappear, leaving only people on space stations alive, and you're a prisoner on this space station. And they find a moon that is seemingly covered in an ocean of blood, and they seal you inside a submarine. They weld like plating on the front because you're going deeper than the submarine's crush depth, and you have to try to explore this ocean of blood to figure out what happened. And it leads, I don't know, I haven't played it, I don't know how it ends, but you're not exactly alone in the ocean of fucking blood. And also, you can only see out of the submarine by a picture. Yeah. So, like, you can, if you hear something, you're taking a picture, and it takes a second. It has to, like, spit it out like a Polaroid. And then you have to wait for it to develop. And by that time, if you see, like, the creature's head, it's probably got you in its mouth at that point.
That's actually really cool. I kind of like that.
Yeah, so it's actually, the concept, like I said, is ridiculous. And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean ridiculous bad. I mean, like, ridiculous good. It's very creative.
Yeah, no, that is actually, like, really cool. I thought it was, I only knew it as surface level. I thought it was literally just like, hey, hypothetically, you're trapped in a sub, try to survive.
Which,
I didn't know how to
that's the main gameplay loop, but still.
Yeah, no, but like lore-wise, that's sick. Now I can see where the movie might come from. Like.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. I will be seeing that when it comes out.
Yeah, we definitely should.
But Iron Lung, I'm going to play. Silent Hill, I'll probably play if it's coming out soon.
Yeah, you should. It comes out in like 4 days. But yeah, I'm gonna end up playing that. I have a bunch of games on my wish list, dude. I'm falling so far behind on like a lot of games, but it's all right. I just try to like go through them chronologically in the order that I want to play them as well.
Oh, and Alien Isolation I want to play too. I never played that. I played like the first hour of it when it came out in 2014.
2014, I think. Yeah.
2014 was 10 years ago now. Yeah. I keep thinking about. I've been trying to square that circle in my head, and it's not working.
That's funny. Alien Isolation was one of those games where I was like, I fucking got this. I'm a man now. I was like 13. I'm like, I fucking got this. I'm a big boy.
I'm a man. I got one ball hair now. Yeah. I got this.
And then I shit my pants in the first hours, and I'm done. Never playing that again. So I ended up having to watch a playthrough of it. But now I could handle it. I played Blair Witch VR. I'm just saying, that was
a boy,
scary.
And now I'm a man.
I'm just saying, you should try VR horror someday. Like, it is... There's nothing like it. Like, I'm convinced Outlast for me is still one of the scarier horror games. Just because of the way that game's constructed, it's like really well done.
It's less scary to me now because I've played it and seen it so many times.
Yeah.
That I'm like, it's lost its effect. But when it came out,
dude,
I was also 12 to be fair when it came out. But I was shitting.
Yeah, no, Outlast is just genuinely terrifying, for sure.
I was shitting. That game scared the I was also, like most people when they're 12, I was also a massive pussy. But honestly wanted to engage with horror a lot.
Yeah.
And would constantly definitely not ever have trouble sleeping and have nightmares about scary stories I read on the internet. At 12 years old, at a big grown age like 12.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Dude, that's prime time to be scared, honestly. 12. Like, you're just old enough to understand the, like, threat, and also just young enough to feel helpless.
But that's the thing now, is I engage with so much horror that it doesn't do nothing. I need a horror version of fentanyl. It's like the regular horror heroin is like, it's not strong enough for me anymore. I need to like mainline straight scary into my veins.
That's funny.
I need some stronger stuff.
I'm telling you, VR horror is that.
I've seen a lot of horror projects, and it's also online horror has declined a lot in the last couple of years. I think it started like the Mandela Catalog came out, and then it was downhill from there, and now you have to basically have to sift through a 55-gallon drum of shit to find like a 1-carat diamond. That's basically what you're doing on YouTube now. Is for every good horror series that exists on YouTube, there's 100,000 that are bad.
Yeah.
or not well thought out or whatever, because the barrier to entry is so low.
Yeah, anybody could make it. We could make it.
I will shout out some projects that I've seen recently that are really good. Dog Nightmares. There's a couple episodes out now. Pretty good. Very spooky. Very unnerving. And The Man in the Suit. It's a bit niche. It's like a Godzilla-based analog horror, but it's very interesting. It's a very interesting like body horror concept. The writing's a bit
Touchy,
rough,
yeah,
but it's a lot of fun. So I'll shout out those two projects as like non-shit ones that I've seen recently. The bar's very low. And of course, like you could watch like Kane Pixels, like The Oldest View or his Backroom series, and those are all fantastically animated and well made. But that's beside the point. But I've seen so much horror now that I'm dead to it. Horror games are different though. I don't
100%.
I don't play many horror games, but I think horror games that don't rely on, okay, you're going through this dark hall, it's quiet, and all of a sudden, bah! Something scary happens. Some scary noise happens, and there was nothing to warrant that happening. I feel like that's what a lot of horror games are.
Yeah.
Because it's and I can only take so many jump scares. I don't like a jump scare very much, to be honest with you. I like stuff that's conceptually very terrifying.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like an Alien Isolation, which I don't think is very jump scare heavy. I think it has them, but I don't think it's very jump scare heavy. And is I've heard very, very good at building tension.
Yeah, no, it builds a lot of tension in that game, and the biggest thing is the AI is really good for the xenomorph. It actually, like, will search in cabinets, under tables, like, it'll track you through walls and shit. Like, that's the bigger thing with that game that people liked. But
the idea of hiding under a table and having a little xenomorph hand reach up and grab you from under the table is fucking horrifying.
Yeah, it's fucking terrifying.
It's fucking scary.
Yeah.
That's so that, and a VR horror game might be on my list too. Who knows?
Yeah. I liked there's this game called oh my god, is it Still Waits the Beast? What the fuck is it called? I'll find the name. That was a fun horror game I played. It was an indie game, maybe like 8 hours long or something like that, and it was a pretty fun game. It had a lot going for it. It took me 6.5 hours. It's The Beast Inside is what it's called, and that game was fun. I don't know what they necessarily classify it as, but it was a story-driven horror game where you kind of like stay in a house in the woods, and then like shit starts happening, things start getting taken from the house, and you're basically trying to solve this mystery. But it was really well done because I felt like, if I remember correctly, there wasn't a lot of jump scares. It was a lot more of the like, oh no, what the fuck's gonna happen? Like you wake up and all the windows are open, and you're like, what the fuck? Like,
all the windows are open, and the character goes, what the heckers?
Yeah, basically some shit like that.
What the heck is going on here?
And I think conceptually you're like a writer. Like, I'll read you the description. Ready? Maybe this will be up your alley, Chris. The Beast Inside is a unique, gripping twist on thriller and survival horror.
I know a thing or two about a gripping twist.
Immersed in the story of a long-buried secrets, personal tragedies, and madness, play as two protagonists bounded by dark heritage, combat the enemies, solve riddles, and experience real terror in this 3D stand environment.
That's pretty interesting.
It was a very good game. Like, I'm not crazy about horror games sometimes because of the jump scares, and that was a really good one. This one looks cool, too. I need to get into more horror games. But.
Yeah. And I think what a lot of horror games don't quite ever get right, there's very few that do, is weaponry. The second I'm armed in a horror game, I feel so much safer than if I wasn't.
Well, I was going to say that about Resident Evil, like Village and 7. Like, I felt the same way. I'm like, oh no, like, monsters. Yeah, and I got a 12 gauge.
Village was like, the first 25 minutes was like, monsters! And then they give you a shotgun. And you're like, what now, bitch?
Yeah.
They run at you and you just blow them out of the sky with a shotgun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't think a lot of horror games with weapons do that balance well. Or they try to skimp resources so that you have to, like, every bullet counts. And I know Resident Evil does this to some extent, but they also give you way too much stuff, I think.
Yeah, you want to know a game that teeters that line super well? Amnesia: The Bunker. That's that new Amnesia game that came out. The biggest thing about that game is you get a revolver, but it ain't going to kill the monster. It'll just simply stun it. And you are literally, like, at some points in that game, you are fucking, like, nose to the ground, ass up, sniffing for, like, fucking bullets on the ground. Like, I need a single bullet, please. And the big thing that game does is because it's in a World War II bunker, the technology's a little outdated, so, like, you don't just have a flashlight with AAAs or, like, a fucking camera like Outlast. You have a wind-up flashlight. So every time you wind it, the monster hears it.
I thought the bunker was a World War One.
Oh, maybe it was World War One. Whatever it was.
I might be wrong, too.
It was one of the world wars.
Yeah, one of the two.
Yeah. But,
I heard that game was very good, though.
That game was phenomenal. I beat that in a van on vacation.
How long is it?
I'll tell you right now how long it took me. Probably like 8 hours, just about.
Jesus.
That.
I was like, if it was, 8 hours.
Actually, it might be less. Hang on. I'll tell you my exact playtime.
8 hours is a weekend game. You can do like a couple of 4 hours.
Oh, well, I beat it in the back of a car on a Steam Deck, so my playtime is not up to date, but it says 2 hours. But it did not take me 2 hours. It took me longer than that.
I see.
I'll get you factual from howlongtobeat.com.
Factual information. But yeah, I think that's an interesting concept. Then, if they really scrimp, you have to really scrimp and save resources.
5.5 hours.
5.5.
How long to beat?
Oh yeah, it's not bad. I could do that in one sitting, realistically.
Oh, realistically, yeah. And the monster's also fucking terrifying.
I beat Spider-Man Miles Morales in one sitting, so.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm gonna be doing some spooky games this month because I've just been, like I said last episode, very non-committal with games right now. I've been falling back to old reliables.
Yeah, Stardew and shit like that.
I haven't been playing Stardew. But I've been playing 7 Days and. Dude, shut the fuck up. I've been playing 7 Days and fucking SnowRunner.
Oh, more SnowRunner.
SnowRunner is never not fun. It is never. I'm never having a bad time playing SnowRunner. Fair. 7 Days. Not really ever having a bad time playing 7 Days either. Yeah. It's rare that I'm having an extraordinarily good time.
That's more rare.
Those moments are few and far in between where I'm like, yippee! I'm having so much fun. That's what I sound like when I play video games.
I imagine, yeah, your voice goes up.
Those moments are pretty few and far in between, but what isn't few and far in between is like, I'm having a baseline level of enjoyment here. I still am just obsessed with Knuckles builds because they're so stupid. And that's what I've been doing. I've been doing some old reliables. What I think is interesting, what I'll note, is 7 Days had an update recently. They had a 1.1 update. Don't know what changed. But you know what's cool now? You know what's cool now is I don't know if this is going to be set in stone, but I was able to update to 1.1 and play on my 1.0 world. Which is...
Do they usually wipe them every time?
Usually they're incompatible and they'll corrupt themselves when you try to play.
That's fucking dumb.
It does give you a warning saying, like, you're going between versions, and you gotta just say, okay, fine. And, but instead of being, like, the version number being red, it's yellow now. What's also interesting, despite the fact that the version number is now 1.1, and it is technically a full release, it still says when you launch the game, at the bottom of the screen says, this is pre-release software, and there may be bugs that we have to fix.
Seems like false advertising to me.
It's just interesting. Is like, if I was the fun pimps, if I was the fun pimp from the Fun Pimps, I would have erased that part of the loading screen.
You would think so.
I would have just, we have a text box here. Just get rid of that.
Yeah.
And then called that a day.
Yeah, be done with it. Yeah.
Yeah. I recently also on an episode of the show, maybe a couple of months back, said, hey, if you send me all the project files and all the necessary stuff to get it going, I'll add bandits to the game and it won't take me very long. That offer's still open.
Still waiting on it.
I'll do a crash course on whatever engine you're in.
Unity, right?
I think it's Unity. I'll just do a crash course on that. Bing, bang, boom, bandits. Bandits update for 1.2. Yep. Send me the files. I'll do it for you.
All the bandits are going to be racist.
Yeah, that's just a side effect of how I program, though.
It's from when you're drunk programming.
I'm like Terry Davis making Temple OS. I just sometimes I'm programming, sometimes I'm programming the N-word. It happens. Shout out to anyone who knows Temple OS and Terry Davis.
Can't say I do.
Terry Davis was a homeless schizophrenic man who made an operating system called Temple OS that was supposed to spit out messages from God. And it had games on it and stuff. And it was this OS that he built from the ground up.
Kernel level.
He built it from the fucking machine code level up. Because he was he wrote all the compilers and shit for everything. He was a brilliant programmer.
Huh.
Probably one of the most talented programmers ever. Paranoid schizophrenic, lived in a van, died somewhat recently, probably 8-9 years ago.
Damn.
But watching him program is really like watching a master at work. He writes everything from the ground up. But you gotta get around his interesting sort of schizophrenic rants, where he would often say the N-word a bunch. He sent. There's footage of him sending a bomb threat to the CIA. He did that once.
What the fuck?
On stream. I'll have to find the video, but there's a video of him. He's emailing the CIA contact, general contact hotline. It was "Dear CIA, I will blow you up with an A10 Warthog or some shit."
What the fuck?
Yeah, he was. If you want a good encapsulation of who Terry Davis was, look up the video. Terry Davis answers the most difficult question in programming, and it gives you a very good idea of what he's all about. But that's how I be programming sometimes,
For real.
Sometimes
drop a couple in there.
The drink gets to me, and I get
the whiskey hands.
I get racist and schizophrenic. The whiskey starts talking back sometimes.
That's fucking funny. Oh my god. But other than that, man, that's all I've really been up to. I'm going to a concert for Letsy's birthday at some point.
Who are you gonna see?
Quinn 92. He's a little indie artist.
I see. I've been dealing with. I think my whole fleet, my dad and I, our whole fleet of vehicles is falling apart at the seams.
Yeah.
My car is the only one in good working order.
Knock on wood, man.
I had to make sure I knocked on that wood.
Hell yeah. It wasn't the wood I was talking about, though. It's like a doorstop.
Yeah, so basically what had happened was when I was driving to Maine, my car, bing, check engine light. But I had my OBD scanner with me.
Always strapped.
I always do. I always got that thing on me. It seemed like it was running fine, so I wasn't too worried. So I pulled into my grocery store, scanned it. oh fuck, you got a emissions code. It's a something low catalyst efficiency on bank 1, something like that, catalytic converter type code. And I was like, fuck, do I need cats? God damn it. The light went away. So I was like, all right, I'm good. And then I was like, all right, I gotta get my car inspected. Light came back. Like, well, fuck. Light went away. The code was still there. Like, well, I guess I gotta get this fixed. And I have a rule of thumb that if my main mode of transportation has an issue that I deem that's just slightly too much of a pain in the ass for me to do myself, I'm sending it to a shop. If it's something that isn't my main mode of transportation, I'll have more leeway. But if it's my main car, it's going to a shop most of the time. So I'm not gonna fucking source a lift, or I'm not going to put this thing on jack stands and rip out half the exhaust if it needs catalytic converters. I'm not fucking doing that.
Yeah.
I just sent it to the shop. It was thankfully not cats. It was just the O2 sensors, which is awesome. The code's gone.
Best case scenario right there.
But in that time, I was going to drive the Hummer, and the Hummer now, it will shift into park, but then the computer or whatever electronics are in there does not actually recognize that it's in park. It's definitely in park, but it's not recognizing that it's in park.
Yeah, it's probably a bend linkage. Same thing my mom had a few months ago.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So there's that. And so I didn't end up driving the Hummer. So I ended up driving the van to work for a couple of days. And that van, I'm not even kidding, is far more enjoyable than driving the Hummer. Because I can see things. And that's it. That's all I ask for. I can see things.
I feel like you're asking a lot, though. Asking to be able to see.
I put my foot down and things happen. Instead of the Hummer is it's making a whole lot of noise. Not doing a whole lot. The van was fun because you would. I got onto the highway and I was like, all right, I'm gonna plant the foot here. I'm gonna put down the old right foot here and see what happens. Pedal to the floor. It kicks down, and the speedometer only goes to 100. So I was like, it looks like you're going way faster than you are. So I looked down, and my speedometer is if it was at that position on my car, I'd be going 140. And I was like, Jesus! But I was only going 80.
That's funny.
And but yeah, that. Also, I really like the seating position in a van.
Very high.
You're way high up, and your dash is right here, and your windshield, your hood is super short, and your windshield's just straight down. You're in a big loaf of bread, basically. I love driving vans.
That's funny.
But then I get home yesterday, van doesn't start. Van don't start. I fucked around with it for a while. That thing is a nest of electrical issues. Typical GM product. It's a nest of electrical issues. There was also a fairly significant leak in the roof for a while, so probably has something to do with it.
Hand in hand, I would say.
So fuses started blowing. And what are we doing to fix that? Just put a new fuse in. It'll last for some time if you just slap a new fuse in there.
Yeah.
That's better than fixing the problem. Sorry, that's easier than fixing the problem.
I was gonna say, what?
It's not better. It's easier than fixing the problem. So, but now it just won't start, which is interesting. So, things aren't going well in my fleet of vehicles. But what I will say is, this is all after last Sunday, I did an oil change on my car. So, some backstory. Before I went to Maine, got my car in the shop, the tire shop, because this isn't so much a thing that's a pain in the ass. It's a thing I don't have the equipment for. I need an alignment, the whole nine. So I was like, all right, it's going in for an alignment. I'll have them. One of my tires need to be balanced. I was like, it's going in for an alignment. I'll have them balance and rotate everything, so I don't have to do it. In that process, they ended up breaking my wheel lock key, but they bought me a new one. So I had this new one. I was like, all right, because the way on my Accord, the way the oil filter is positioned, you got to take the tire off to get to it. But that's not. I thought I was like that on its face would make me angry, but once you get the tire off, which takes no time at all, the oil filter, it's right there. You take it. And also, I was the last guy who did it, so I know I can just wrench it off with my hand, and it's fine. So that's not the problem. The problem is I got my new wheel lock key, and I go to break the wheel lock nut loose. Key just strips out immediately because whatever jokers they had in the shop fucking tighten this shit to like 500 foot-pounds or something. I usually go on I'm a pretty big proponent of good and tight, but I have my limits where I can good and tight something, and then, all right, when I go to get it off now, I can just put my foot down, and it's, it'll go. This shit was like, it would not budge. So, it just immediately rounded off the new fucking wheel lock key, which is great. So I have a set of extractor sockets. The biggest one I have, not big enough. So my dad calls his friend who has another set of extractor sockets that are bigger, and I extractor socket everything off. And I just took all the wheel locks off, and I'll just put regular lug nuts on. It's fine. How safe is a wheel lock key really anyway?
Yeah.
Not very. Because my dumb ass was able to take them off in 5 minutes with a tool that you can get for next to nothing. So,
yeah.
They're not...
It's more of a deterrent.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, if you really want to steal stock Honda wheels, like you need it more than I do, You need that money more than I do. So I got all those off, and then I took the Hummer to the store, and I need 4 lug nuts. They only had 3. So I bought 3, and I went to another auto parts store that's right near my house, like right close to my house. And I'm in the Hummer, and I'm driving there, and then this whole park thing shows up. So I shove it in the park, and like I would normally, shut it off, walk into the store, do what I gotta do. And then I go to turn it on. Doesn't crank at all. Like, that's curious. And I'm just in this fucking parking lot, and I'm fucking with the little thing because I noticed the light for park isn't on. There's actually no lights on, indicating that's in any gear. So I'm trying to fuck with the stick, and I didn't know where the manual release was. So I was like, well, I don't know what to do here, and I don't want to break it. If I look down the road closely enough, I can see my house.
Yeah, at the right angle, yeah.
I'll just call my dad, say, hey, Dad, come look at this. Because I could have done what he did, but I didn't want to break it, and if it ended up broken, I wanted him to do it.
Yeah.
So,
fair.
I didn't want him to be like, why'd you break my truck?
After it already broke while you were driving, too, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Well, first I broke it when I parked it, and then I had to break it to unpark it,
Yeah, so that showed up, and then he fixed it, and then it would work. It worked a couple of times after that if you slammed it into park, and now it just doesn't work at all. But it's still drivable, still movable. It still starts and works. You just have to now put it into neutral.
Yeah.
And in that process where I found out that you got to put it into neutral and put the parking brake on, the sensor for the parking brake is fucked up. So when you take the parking brake off, it registers that it's on, and then keeps bouncing and making contact, going like ding, 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 and it goes like on and off. The light comes on and off.
Is
over
the
and
pedal
over again.
just loose? Is it a pedal one or?
Yeah, it's a pedal one. I think the pedal's loose.
Yeah.
But the brake definitely engages, so good enough for me.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I've been up to.
That's a fucking saga, dude. See, this is why I don't really care for taking my car in for a lot of things. Like, I hate to be a Karen, but the last time I brought the Cobalt in to my local auto shop that I trust a lot, I did the exhaust fits and a wheel balance and alignment. And they couldn't do the alignment there because they don't have the tools. They just do balancing and rotating. So I did the balance, and I trust them a lot, but I still took my torque wrench and checked my wheel torque, and they did torque it to 100 foot-pounds like the Cobalt should. So I respect them for that, but like, yeah, that would be something I would be fucking furious about. Like, I get it. You guys are probably flat rate when you're doing this. You're just trying to go and hit every lug, but like, it does not take that long to torque it.
Well, see,
you've got the lift. You've got the tools.
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. This is because I took for the tire stuff, because my guy doesn't have the equipment for an alignment.
You took it to that generator bitch place. Right?
I took it to just some tire shop that is near his shop, to be fair.
Oh.
I took it to some tire shop, and I've heard good things about this tire shop. So I had them, they did it. And I was like, oh, they broke it, and they owned up to their mistake, and they gave me the new one.
Happens.
Yeah, shit happens. Is what it is. I don't care. So that's the thing. It's like, what? Right? I didn't take it to the guy I trusted because he didn't have the equipment. He's not a tire shop. And this is what happens. I'm saying for the O2 sensor thing, I took it to my guy and it was fine.
Yeah.
If I take it to my, and I told him going in, I think I might need cats. And if he was
a scumbag,
if he was not trustworthy, he would have been like, yeah, you need catalytic converters.
And then he would have sold yours, yeah. And
it would have been $2,500.
Yeah, and he would have sold yours for some profit too.
Yeah, and it. So you got to find a guy that you trust. So like the second I took it to a different guy.
You got fucked, yeah.
But yeah, this is why I'll take it in for harder maintenance because I don't particularly want to spend an entire day working on something that I could pay a mechanic to do in an hour.
Yeah, man, it's all about the tools and also just the knowledge too. But the tools are like the big thing. If
I had a lift, I would be doing way more stuff. I'll be honest, because I do also have a latent extreme fear of being underneath a vehicle.
Oh, do you?
For longer periods of time. If it's on jack stands and on the jack, I have just this vision in my head constantly that whenever I'm under the car, and I have this vision in my head of just like the car falling and like landing on my chest, and I can't do anything about that.
You ain't doing shit, yeah.
I can't do anything about that, and I'm always prepared for that sort of thing to happen. So I'm never exactly comfortable underneath a car that's like on jack stands.
Yeah.
But if I had a lift, I worked at a dealership for like 3 years. I walked under cars that were up on lifts confidently just because it was a shorter route. To like, oh, I got to get to this door. I'll go under so-and-so's lift. And then a lift is a lot of confidence because a lift has stops. If you have a lift and you have your car up here, if the hydraulic lines explode, it's going to fall and go to there. And that's it. It's going to fall a little bit and get caught by a manual stop. Yeah. It's going to scare the shit out of you.
Yeah, but it ain't going to kill you.
But you're going to be here another day. You might bump your head a little bit.
Yeah. At worst, if you're really tall, you get
Tom and Jerry fucking, you go,
boss, the lift broke.
The lift broke.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Yeah. Grab his head and twist it.
Hang on.
Yeah, it's like those bendy straws.
Yeah. So I'm just not exactly comfortable working under a car for a long time, which is I feel like something a lot of people feel.
Yeah, I would say I'm more comfortable than most for a couple reasons, but I don't like it. Like, I would love a lift. I'm more comfortable with it because what I normally do is I have, obviously, like, multi-point securement, like with jack stands and the jack, but I also usually have, like, a tire or two, and I'm so small that in, like, most cases, if it falls in the right way that I expect it to by putting the tires, I can just kind of slink on underneath.
See, that's the thing. I can't slink.
Yeah.
I can't slink. My only recourse is I never do any work like this without my phone on me. Because I know that at the very worst case scenario, something happens, car falls on me, and like my dad's not home or something, I can, even if I can't lift the phone to like get it up, I can just put 911 on it and they have to show up regardless.
Yeah.
And they show up, oh, there's a guy whose ribs are exploded because he's under a car.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is with a car like yours, a couple police officers could probably pit that and get it out of the way a little bit. So that's a good thing.
So, I mean...
Now with that V6, though, that's your fault.
Yeah. I usually do multiple points. I'll have jack stands, and I'll have the hydraulic jack up too.
Yeah.
Not so it's holding weight, but just so it's there. And then a lot of times, if I have the room, I'll do a tire. Mm-hmm. If I have the room, I'll shove a tire under there.
Yeah.
But I also, you know, I also am not extremely comfortable doing that even. So I'll do it for an oil change. I'll do it for a couple of things. Yeah. But I'm not going to do that for multiple hours.
That's what I really liked about the Explorer, was it was just high enough that I could genuinely fit underneath it, do an oil change without ever lifting the car.
See, that was great because when I was fucking with the van yesterday, I got underneath and I was able to just slide underneath. It was great.
Yeah.
I was able to just slide under there. And it would be tight for me, but I could comfortably do an oil change under there.
Yeah.
You know, just by sliding under there. So maybe that's my thing. And that's what I liked about the Suburban. I didn't really have it long enough to do any work on it, but in the process of inspecting it before I bought it, I was able to just slide right under there and I could see everything.
Yeah.
And you don't get that luxury with a
sedan or a coupe
with a little coupe that I have.
No. What's nice, the Cobalt has a raised ass end, so whenever I was doing exhaust stuff, I could slide under the ass end, but I can't get up front. It's so low in the front because of the weight that I can usually, like, get under there to look at something quick, like, just be like, I see something, but I can't, like, do anything or see well enough to do anything, so. Yeah, I liked that about the Explorer, though. That was my favorite thing, because that was when I first started even touching cars, because it was my first car, so I was extra not confident with putting a car on a jack, but that was when I would still be like, hey, Dad, can you lift this car for me? Because I just didn't trust myself to do it. Now, I'm like, my dad's asking me to do it. I'm like, oh, you lazy bitch.
Well, it's because I was starting to get over this fear, and you know what added to it? I was working on the truck, and we had to lift it higher so I could get underneath for the exhaust stuff. We had to lift it higher, so I had to get my bigger jack out, and the bigger jack that we have is older, and the actual thing, the cup that's there that sits on the frame that you lift with, has kind of like flattened out over the years. And I started lifting it, slides off the jack, falls onto the jack stand. I was like, that could have been my neck.
Yeah.
But that truck is high enough that it wouldn't. Yeah. It would land, and it would be like here.
Yeah.
Like right in front of my face. But, well, it wouldn't be that close. But it would be, closer than I want it to be. But it wouldn't kill me.
One of the things that got me was one day my dad was working on a car for someone, not any of ours. It was just like a friend of his. And I walked outside, and he was like, oh, can you help me do this? I think I might have been like bleeding brates or something. Help him bleed the brates. He's doing something else. And we're talking, and all of a sudden, like, you don't notice it, like that the car is moving at all. But we all of a sudden, at the same time, we hear like a 3-point, like, ting, 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 like around the sides of the car. Like, what the fuck was that? And we look, and his jack has started to lose pressure, and it's just going, So it had hit all 3 points of the jack stands that he had. But you couldn't tell because it was so imperceptibly slow that you couldn't actually see. It wasn't like it went boom and dropped. It literally was just slowly lowering. And then we realized when we heard it hit the 3 jack stands that he had. We heard like ting, ting, ting. Like, what the fuck is that? And all of a sudden it just kept dropping and dropping and dropping and dropping. He's like, what the fuck? Like, so he finishes doing what he's doing. It's the only jack he had. He throws the wheel back on and then tried to like fuck with it a little to get air out of it, like flush it essentially. And he got it good enough where he could get the car up, drop it back down, but then it never went back up again, the jack. So yeah, that's why I bought him a new jack for his birthday last year. Fun fact, that was why.
Yeah, I do have most of the stuff I work on, like mostly I'm working on, my car, and that sort of thing happening isn't really a concern on my car because I'm lifting on a pinch weld rather than a frame. So on the pinch weld, there's, when you're under the car, there's specific points that are reinforced for you to lift. And the pinch weld, the way it's constructed and the way the jack is constructed, it has grooves on it that the pinch weld slides into.
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But
for it to slide, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, that happened to me, and it's never happened to me before, but it happened to me, and I was like, oh, I shitted and pissed my pants a little bit.
Shitted and pissed it.
I shitted and pissed it in my pants did a little bit.
Yeah, but that's all I got.
But yeah, I think it's over. I think we're done here.
Yeah,
forever. This is the last episode forever.
Said that like 4 times. Get some new material, man. Your jokes suck. You suck. The show sucks. My life sucks, man. So, remind the people how are we doing?
You gotta remind them. Tell them where they would find this show if they wanted to perhaps listen to it or watch it in a video form.
So, as always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, Spotify, Pocket Cast, and the RSS feed, all linked below. YouTube and Spotify have the video platform. YouTube will be getting our Halloween special on October 31st. And you can contact us via email, synapsemisfire@pm.me. Send your comments, questions, concerns, death threats, little kitty bit city stuff. And there's Instagram, TikTok. There's some stuff over there sometimes, occasionally, maybe.
Yeah.
Bye.